Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Biosynapse podcast. Imagine a health checkup that's, well, as simple as unintrusive, as something many people already do every month. Usually getting insights into our health involves clinic visits, maybe needles, and honestly, quite a bit of logistical hassle. It's often inconvenient, right? And for regular checkups, those hurdles can mean we just don't do it as often as maybe we should. What if the key to proactive health monitoring was already part of your routine? That's really our mission today, to explore a truly groundbreaking new technology. It could potentially revolutionize how we monitor health, especially for menstruating individuals. We're going deep into a fascinating research article from the journal Advanced Science. It's titled A Wearable In Pad Diagnostic for the Detection of Disease Biomarkers in Menstruation Blood. And the work comes from a brilliant team. Lucas Dosnon, Thomas Rduch, Charlotte Meyer, and Inge K. Herrmann, based out of ETH Zurich, EMPA, Cantonal Hospital St. Gallen, and the University of Zurich. Quite a collaboration.
It really is. And what's truly revolutionary here, I think, is how this research takes something so common, menstruation blood, often just dismissed as, waste, and transforms it. It becomes this incredibly powerful, accessible tool for potentially spotting diseases early and for personalized health monitoring. It's about using a natural biological process to unlock vital health insights.
Right.
It could fundamentally shift healthcare from being reactive to proactive.
Okay, let's dig into that. We all know about traditional blood tests. They're crucial in medicine, obviously. But what are the main limitations? Why are people sometimes hesitant, especially for just routine health checks?
That's a great starting point. Traditional blood tests, despite being invaluable, do have significant hurdles. They're usually invasive. Someone has to draw blood from your vein. Then that sample needs to get to a lab. Often it requires tricky pre-processing, like separating plasma or adding anticoagulants so it doesn't clot. All these steps take time, cost money, add complexity, leading to what researchers call poor patient compliance.
Which basically means people just skip them sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It's a hassle, so tests that could give crucial early warnings might get postponed or missed altogether.
Right. And that's where this research really steps in, it sounds like.
Right.
Menstrual blood could potentially sidestep a lot of those issues. So what makes it such a promising alternative? It feels a bit surprising at first glance.
Oh, it's definitely a potential game changer. First off, it's a completely non-invasive source of blood. It's readily available every month to, an estimated 1.8 billion people globally. That accessibility is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Second, and this is absolutely key for diagnostics, research shows a really strong correlation between the levels of biomarkers in menstruation blood and in venous blood. What you find in one generally reflects what's in the other.
So if a health marker is in your regular bloodstream, it's likely in menstrual blood too.
Highly likely, yes. And beyond that, it contains this rich mix of information over 385 unique proteins identified so far. That opens up whole new avenues for understanding women's health specifically. But here's the real advantage for point of care, at-home testing. Menstrual blood naturally has much lower levels of things like coagulation factors, the stuff that makes blood clot, and also lower hemoglobin and hematocrit, which make whole blood thick and red.
Ah, I see. So it's easier to work with directly.
Precisely. It means you might not need all those complex, expensive lab steps that venous blood requires. People have already looked into this before, using menstrual blood for things like HbA1c for diabetes or even HPV detection. But those methods still generally needed lab processing. This new approach is trying to change that whole picture.
That's really fascinating. So if menstrual blood is this kind of overlooked resource, what's the actual device they've developed? What is Menstrual AI?
Right, Menstrual. It's their name for this innovative, wearable, microfluidic platform. The core idea is super clever. Integrate it directly into a standard hygiene pad.
Into the pad itself.
Yes. And the most compelling part for the user, it's electronic-free. You're meant to see the results with your own eyes. No special gadgets needed, no complex steps. It aims to be as intuitive as, say, a home pregnancy test.
Okay, that's genuinely user-friendly. What specific health markers are they looking at with this system? What can it tell you?
They've picked 3 really key biomarkers with significant clinical relevance to start with. First is C-reactive protein, or CRP. You might have heard of it. It's a common marker for infection and inflammation anywhere in the body. And more recently, it's also being seen as important for cardiovascular disease risk.
Okay, CRP. What's special about testing it here?
Well, a common issue with CRP tests is something called the hook effect. It's a bit technical, but basically, if you have too much CRP, the test can paradoxically give a false low reading.
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
It can be, yeah. It makes the test unreliable at high concentrations. But the Menstrual AI design specifically addresses this hook effect, which is a really important step for accuracy.
Got it. What else?
Next is carcinoembryonic antigen, CEA. This is a well-known biomarker often elevated in various cancers. It can indicate tumors or that cancer might be spreading. Just for context, normal levels are usually under 5 nanograms per milliliter. Levels over 20 ngml would definitely raise concern and prompt more investigation.
Right. And the third one?
The third is cancer antigen 125, or CA125. This one's particularly significant for gynecological health. Elevated CA125 can be a sign of gynecological cancers, like ovarian cancer. In fact, studies show 82% of ovarian cancer patients had levels above the normal limit of 35 units per milliliter. It can also be high in conditions like endometriosis, which is quite common. Levels there can go well over 100 ml sometimes.
Wow. Being able to track those potentially at home seems huge for early detection or management. So how does this thing actually work inside the pad? Is it totally new tech or based on something we might recognize?
It builds on something quite familiar, actually, but applies it very cleverly. The core is lateral flow assays, LFAs.
Oh, FAs.
Yes.
Like in pregnancy tests.
Exactly like that, those paper-based strips. They're designed to detect specific things. In this case, they use tiny gold nanoparticles coated with antibodies. Think of them as microscopic gold scouts designed to latch onto those specific biomarkers, CRP, CEA, or CA125.
Okay.
When they bind, they accumulate and create a visible color change on the strip. That line you see, that's the gold nanoparticles doing their job.
Makes sense. But you mentioned earlier menstrual blood is less red. Still blood is red. How do they stop that color interfering with reading the lines? And how did they solve that hook effect you mentioned for CRP?
Good questions. This is where the engineering gets really smart. For the color issue, they use a special Fusion 5 blood separation membrane. It acts like a highly selective filter. It traps the red blood cells in its glass fibers, but lets the plasma, the clear yellowish liquid part, flow through to the LFA strip.
So only the clear liquid reaches the test zone.
Precisely. That prevents the blood's red color from obscuring the test lines, allowing for a clear visual result. This is a key step in making it work outside a lab, basically doing the sample prep in the pad.
Very neat. And the hook effect for CRP.
Right, that tricky hook effect. They tackled that by designing the LFA strip itself in a specific way. They use a 3-line geometry, which includes what's called a competitive assay line alongside the standard test and control lines. This clever setup essentially allows the test to measure CRP accurately across its entire clinical range, even when levels are very high, avoiding those dangerous false lows.
So it's a more robust test design.
Exactly. It's a crucial safety feature. And the team spent a lot of time optimizing everything to make sure it works reliably, not just with lab samples, but with unprocessed whole blood collected right there by the device.
Okay, the science sounds impressive.
Yeah.
But let's talk practicalities. Putting this into a sanitary pad, that must have challenges. Like, how do you get a consistent sample amount when flow varies so much? And comfort, it has to be comfortable, right?
Absolutely. Those were major design considerations. You need accurate testing, but it absolutely has to be practical and comfortable for the user. They actually developed 2 different prototypes to handle volume control, which, as you said, is key because menstrual flow can vary a lot between individuals and even day to day.
2 prototypes, how do they work?
So prototype 1 uses a soft silicone casing. Inside, there's an inlet area, and at the bottom, a special membrane made of polyvinyl pyrrolidone, or PVP. This PVP membrane holds back a specific amount of blood, about 150 microliters, just for the test. Then, after a set time, it dissolves.
It dissolves.
Yeah, it dissolves, allowing any extra blood to just flow through into the main pad. And it also filters out little clots or debris, giving a cleaner sample for the LFA.
Okay, interesting. What about prototype 2?
Prototype 2 uses a different principle. Microfluidics, driven by capillary pressure, think tiny channels. These channels naturally draw in a precise, smaller volume, about 60 microliters, just through capillary action, like how water climbs up a narrow tube. And it has a neat way to prevent overflow. Once that specific volume is delivered, the sample pad on the LFA strip gets saturated and effectively blocks further fluid entry.
So both are passive. The user doesn't have to do anything special.
Exactly. Completely passive. You just wear the pad normally. That's key for seamless integration.
And the wearability part. Was it actually comfortable in testing?
That was crucial. They use soft silicone, which is very flexible and resilient. It's designed to fit neatly inside standard commercial pads. They did simulations and, importantly, a volunteer wearability study.
What did the volunteers find?
The study was really positive. Volunteers wore pads with the prototypes for at least 4 hours during their period, typically on day 2 when flow can be heavier. They just went about their normal day, walking, sitting, commuting. and the results. The devices successfully collected blood, and the LFAs completed the test in all cases. Importantly, the volunteers reported it felt just like a regular pad. Optimal comfort, no difference, no leakage or contamination issues.
That sounds incredibly promising for real-world use. Okay, so you get a visible line or lines on the pad. But how does someone translate that into meaningful health information? A line is one thing, understanding it is another.
That's the other critical piece of the puzzle, the smartphone app. This elevates it beyond just a visual check. It's not just taking a picture. The app uses sophisticated machine learning. Think advanced AI like facial recognition, but trains specifically to analyze these LFA strips.
AI reading the test strip.
Yes. It uses specific models, a Yellow-V8 convolutional neural network, and a fully connected layer model to automatically find the test strip in the photo and read it accurately. The app then classifies the result. It does something called peak segmentation on the color intensity. This lets it measure the exact color intensity of each line. The test line, control line, even that extra line for CRP very precisely.
So it gives you more than just positive or negative.
Exactly. It provides a reliable, immediate, semi-quantitative value for the biomarker concentration. And it interprets that value based on known clinical ranges, telling you if it's normal or potentially concerning.
And the app itself. Easy to use.
Designed to be. An intuitive interface lets users snap a picture, see reports, track results over time, and importantly, if they choose, they can securely share results with their doctor, with permission, of course, and the accuracy. The app's analysis showed diagnostic performance very similar to detecting these markers in venous whole blood in a lab.
Wow. So let's zoom out. What does this mean big picture? It feels like more than just a neat gadget. It sounds like it could really push towards democratizing healthcare, especially for women's health.
Precisely. The impact could be huge. First, as we discussed, it's non-invasive and potentially very low cost. They estimate the LFA strip costs under 40 cents, the silicone casing about 50 cents, so maybe around $1 per unit to produce. That's incredibly affordable.
$1. That's amazing.
It really is. Second, that affordability and ease of use dramatically improve accessibility and health equity. Think about resource-constrained areas where lab access is difficult or expensive, or even for preventative screening for less common diseases where regular, costly lab tests aren't practical for everyone. This platform actually meets the World Health Organization's assured criteria for point-of-care tests. Affordable, sensitive, specific, user-friendly, rapid and robust, equipment-free, and deliverable. It ticks all those boxes.
Okay, but let's be clear. This isn't meant to replace a doctor's diagnosis or standard clinical tests, right?
No, absolutely not. That's a really important clarification. Its true purpose is to act as an early alert system, a first line of defense, you could say. It signals potential issues that mean you should go see a doctor for proper follow-up and definitive testing. It enables this kind of close-meshed, affordable, personalized monitoring that empowers people to be more proactive about their health. It gets actionable information into people's hands conveniently, maybe spotting things earlier than they otherwise would. It makes monitoring less of a chore, more routine.
Truly transformative potential. So what's the next step for Menstrual AI? Where does the research go from here?
Well, the future looks exciting. One obvious direction is expanding the panel of biomarkers. They could potentially add markers for other conditions, maybe even sexually transmitted diseases, depending on need and feasibility. But the absolutely crucial next step is large-scale field studies. They need to test this with many, many diverse participants.
Why is that so critical?
Because you need to account for all the natural variations in menstrual flow, cycle length, blood composition across a wide population. Large studies are essential to confirm it works reliably for almost everyone, understand its real-world performance, and identify any limitations before it could become widely available.
Makes sense. You need that real-world data.
Yeah.
So, reflecting on this, what really stands out to you about how innovations like this could change our approach to personal health?
For me, this research by Dosnon, Rduch, Meyer, and Herrmann, published in Advanced Science, it just highlights a paradigm shift. Imagine a future where checking in on your health is as simple and integrated into your routine as, well, using a sanitary pad. It completely flips the script from reactive care waiting for symptoms to proactive well-being. And it makes you wonder what other health insights might be hiding in plain sight in biological processes we've previously just overlooked.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Turning something routine into a window for proactive health. Incredible. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thank you for joining us. See you in our next episode about the Biosynapse podcast.